6 years from now. So even though driving 20 miles out of town will get you the 2,000 square foot house you are looking for, and it will be very impressive to your friends and relatives who drive by it when you visit our town. But in the long run, the smaller house in the prime location will outperform it. Plus, the smaller house, the paint's cheaper, the carpet's cheaper, everything's cheaper, Gene. The smallest house in the best neighborhood gets the most per square foot, either for sale or for rent. And it would much rather have a small house of $150,000 surrounded by $350,000 houses. So when they go up, they will take me with them.
Steve, do you have a formula for this? What formula works for you in determining the property value?
I haven't seen a formula that works.
Okay.
I think 10 times gross rent is a little bit high. That's mostly what I would think you would see in a commercial setting of a fourplex, an apartment complex. I think if you use a number more like 8% or 8 times gross rent, you could be okay. You want to make sure that your rent you are buying are rents that would work in the neighborhood. For instance, if the average income of your neighborhood is from $36,000 to $42,000 a year, then typically you're looking for $950,000, $1,050, $1,150, $1,250 a month type houses. Those houses will always have the market to fill the hole. If you get into the houses, or for instance you're suggesting $2,000 a month, then typically people can afford $2,000 a month, are making $6,000, $7,000 a month, and you're starting to deal with the top 5% or better, maybe the top 2% income earners, and there's less of those out there than there are people who can afford $1,000 a month.
So let's take $1,000. Would it be safe to say that if the $1,000 a month will carry the mortgage, the taxes, and the insurance, if it will carry it, you're positive. When, if ever, should a person be willing to go negative?
It's your decision. It is a gamble. And my gamble as a professional, I would know that I would prefer to buy the house in the best neighborhood, even if I have to run negative, say $50 or $100 a month, because I know in the long run that house is going to outperform the other one that penciled on paper a little bit better. For instance, even myself, I've made mistakes in the past. And one of the mistakes is a few years ago when I was trading up properties, because the timing was perfect to trade up. I pulled a couple houses off the market. And then because we had a new election coming up, and at that time we were starting a recession, the end of the Clinton era. We started going recession around July. Interest rates were going up very quickly. Gasoline prices were soaring. The stock market was starting to take its drop. So I thought, like an average person, well, let's pull these houses out of the market, let's keep them rented, and after the election, maybe I'll get a couple tax breaks, a couple interest rates drops, and the market would be better, and theoretically my houses would sell for more, which did happen. But I had houses that went from $115,000 to $125,000. The problem is where I wanted to move up to went from $122,000 to $167,000. That's the gamble you have to give up. So if you are a young person starting out in your life, then your first house should be your first rental. You're going to live in this house, but it could be on the outside of town. And if you stay the year or two and get the yard and the blinds and everything else in, then I've seen a little bit of appreciation. And by that time when you rent the house, it should pencil out fairly well. But in that amount of time, the other property you were looking at in the better neighborhood will probably be so expensive you won't be able to afford it anymore. So it depends how much of a gambler you are. And if you understand the advantage to own a rental property, there's an advantage.
Let's talk about benefits. What are the advantages in owning a rental property?
Because it is a business. So at the end of the year, I'm going to supply you a 1099 showing you made your $24,000 in income. But after that, it's a balance sheet. So we're going to start deducting money. First of all, I'm a deduction, the property management fees. All your interest, as you know, is a deduction. All your taxes, all your insurance, every single repair, any warranty you buy, any improvement you make to the property is a write-off. Your trips, you're allowed a couple trips a year to go visit your property and to see how things are going. Those are a write-off. And then the government gives you the kicker of depreciation. Typically, most people depreciate a property over 27.5 years. So If I break even, that's wonderful. If I make a positive cash flow, I'm going to pay taxes. But if I run a little bit negative for that gamble of appreciation, the end of the year, the write-off is going to give me all that negative cash flow back, and the government's going to give me a very, very nice incentive to buy a second house.
What about realtors outside your area? Will you consult with them?
I do consulting on a regular basis, either for individuals like yourself and at times for groups, whether it's groups of realtors or groups of investors who have been drawn together as a group to go out and start to buy property.
So you would actually be available to look at a particular investment opportunity and give some guidance?
Sure. I don't want to do your realtor's job of looking at 12 houses and telling you what to buy. But if you've got to the point where it was broken down to a choice of X house or Y house, then I'd be more than glad to take a look at it. I'd be more than glad to give you my opinion of it, because the better your choice today is, the easier my job is next week.
Would you be available to do a consultation with someone who wants to do what you do?
I would more than glad to, and I've done it on quite a few occasions. This is a good business. It does not have the reputation, it doesn't have to have the reputation that it has in the past. It is not that difficult as people think. I do not get late night phone calls in the middle of the night about hot water heaters. I do not get those kind of phone calls that most people think you're going to normally get. It's fairly easy. It's fairly boring. Once in a while they make me work hard. But typically it is fairly simple. Most people are nice, Gene. Most people are reasonable. Most people understand there's nothing I can do about your air conditioner at 3 o'clock in the morning.
You don't know the market very well. Do you still take the risk of buying that property?
Do your homework. Make sure that if you are being referred to realtors and property managers that you have checked out your referral and you've checked these people out.